How are you doing today, Jay?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. How about you?
Doing good. Beautiful weather. Amazing.
Too warm, in my opinion, for this early in the year.
Really?
Yeah. I'd like it to ease into about 65, 70 degrees for a month or two to kind of ease into it and then maybe jump up there for the summer months.
Ooh, so right now, like if people could tell, it's been like that every day. I'm always wearing like a long sleeve. Usually, I think someone mentioned, they said, hey, if you want to know what the weather or how the weather is, check Jose. Look what he's wearing. If he's wearing a long sleeve, that means that everything's nice. Everything's beautiful. If he's wearing short sleeves, that means it's too hot.
Well, that's a good way to look at it, I guess.
Yeah, but it's been, I've been like, I like the weather. I like it. It's beautiful. Summer's coming. I'm ready for that pool.
Yeah, ready for the pool to get. Have you been to the dome pool? Have you been to the new dome pool that they got going on, the auditorium over there?
No, have you?
Yeah, I've been there a few times.
How is it?
Oh, it's huge. I've never really seen an Olympic-sized pool before, so I was surprised at how big it is. Usually the pools we have are about as long as they are wide, but that one's like 50 yards by 25, so you do the lap swimming side to side, and then they got another warm-up pool that's a pretty good sized pool with like a volleyball net and a basketball hoop, and then they got like 29 or 30 person hot tub.
Oh,
yeah. And then an actual steam room that gets up to about 105, 110 or something. You can go in there and kind of wind down at the end of it. But otherwise, it's an awesome facility.
I haven't checked it out yet. I need to check it. Usually, well, not usually. I've done it, I think, a few times, like over the summer. I think they do it in the mornings when Prentice Pool or the plunge or whatever is open. They'll do like, what do you call it? Lap swimming.
Yeah, lap swimming.
Yeah, I've done that before. But I'm guessing you could do that over there at the Wellness Center, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the primary thing that they try to do. I mean, they have an actual, what do they call it? Like a ninja cross that comes down from the ceiling and goes into the middle of the pool. And then it's like got hoops and you got to pull yourself through it and up and over things and stuff. So yeah, I think the big part is the lap swim, but then they've got a bunch of other things to kind of complement it.
Does it get packed?
It was pretty busy. You know, it's new. So anything in Vermilion when it's new is going to get a lot of play and stuff. So, but I think with school being out now, I think it'll be probably the summer's the time to use it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All the students are gone and everything. That was always growing up in Vermilion. That was always one of my favorite times is that finals week Friday. Back when it was Division II, you didn't have all the athletes sticking around year to year. So when school was over, almost the whole town was empty. You'd see like tumbleweeds blowing down Cherry Street and stuff. So it's definitely changed in the last 30 years since then.
Oh man, I love it when the students, I mean, I like the students. They're cool. I have some friends that are students, but man, the summer, it's more calmer.
Yes.
And I don't know. I was so happy last week. I think that's when finals or graduation, whatever happened. And I was like, oh man, we're at that time where everything's just so calm.
Yes, everything's like slows down and just kind of relaxes. The weather's nicer, so you can get outside and do more things, but it's just not as busy.
Yeah, especially at Walmart. I've noticed that. When is it? When school starts? I guess it depends on what day you go. Man, there'll be a lot of people sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
So, are you from here?
Yeah, I'm a Vermilion townie, I guess. Graduated in 91.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. Yep. So I guess I'm a local.
So you've been here forever?
Almost forever. I think I moved here in like 5th or 6th grade. I can't remember the exact year. I know it was in the middle school. So somewhere right around 83, 84. So I've been in town, what's that, 40, 41, 42 years.
Are you like originally from South Dakota?
Yeah. Small town west of here, Wagner.
Okay. I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. If you just take 50 and just keep going west, you'll eventually run into Wagner and then Winter and then eventually out to Pine Ridge that way. But yeah, so I'm originally South Dakota and pretty much been here my whole life. I had a little tour outside of South Dakota. I was down in North Carolina working for a bank down there. So I was down there for about a year and a half and absolutely loved it down there too. The weather was nice. I'm a big garden guy. So I was able to grow a garden for about 10 months out of the year.
Wow.
Yeah. So outside of being down in North Carolina a little while, I've pretty much been in South Dakota my whole life.
Do you prefer North Carolina here, or it just depends? Or
probably here. You know, you always like to go where you know people and where people know your name. So when I came back to Vermilion, probably 10, 12 years ago, it was nice. Not much had changed at all in the 20, 25 years. You could walk down Main Street and it was a lot of the same owners owned the same businesses, the same buildings. A lot of my friends who were had family businesses were still around in town. So not much changed. I really felt like I could walk down Main Street from when I graduated high school to when I came back 10 years ago and it was exactly the same town.
Whoa. Okay.
Wasn't much growth.
And now that, so Actually, I do want to ask this question. So now, since you've been here for a while now, like right now, what is it today? It's May 14th. Do you see Vermilion kind of growing a little bit more? Is it steady or is it like one of those spikes? Or
Yeah,
what do you see?
I think now in being on city council, I'm seeing this a little bit more as well, where there's now more of an active effort to grow. Jim Peterson is great. Jim Peterson came over from Masaba, and I've known Jim for years. And now that he's with the chamber, he's really out there. He's got the contacts, and he knows who's looking to come into town. So he's helping these businesses, and he's kind of being the facilitator between these businesses and the city council, and just trying to find them money if need to, and then also find them a spot. Like, what spot works for this type of business that's coming in? If it's going to be a convenience store wants to come in, let's find you a spot that's great with traffic. If you're a retail shop, let's find you a shop that's going to get a lot of foot traffic or drive-by traffic, so they can get you in there, maximize what you're trying to do. And Jim is just perfect at that, and he's a great person also.
Oh yeah.
So you talk with him, and he just puts you to ease, and you just feel like you're talking to the right guy, and he's going to get some stuff done.
Yeah, Jim he's a very, because I've talked to him, and he's like, well, he knows business because he worked in Masaba, and the way he talks, or when I talk to him, like, just one-on-one, yeah, he has that mentality, that business mentality. I'm like, oh snap, like it's different, but it's good.
Yeah. He's always looking what's the next step. We're going to get what we're on right now done, and then let's find the next step. And then the back of his mind, he's got the step after that plan. So I think Vermilion is very lucky to have Jim willing to step into that position after he kind of retired from Masaba, and very fortunate. But yeah, I see like there's a big push now to get housing with the housing study that was done. Let's get some housing in here for people. Let's get the businesses up. Let's keep the students around all year. That was always a problem. I thought that even if the students wanted to stay here in the summer or wanted to stay here when they got done, they kind of liked the town and wanted to be around longer. There wasn't really anything for them to do professionally.
True. Like
if you wanted to be a teacher, if there was a teaching position open, you could luckily maybe stick around and be a teacher. Or there wasn't a whole lot outside of that unless you went on to get your master's or doctorate. Maybe you wanted to be a teacher at the U or something. There were some opportunities to stick around, or you basically had to start your own business. And if you didn't have a family business, for the longest time, there wasn't a lot of new businesses that were opening up in Vermilion.
So this is what I want to ask. So Matt Fairholm recommended you, and actually a few other people. So because actually it's not even my idea, because now I've heard it was yours also. Because I'm originally from Texas. It's a bigger city though. And there was always like this recreational center. And there was also, they had like these sports, not stadiums, but like a sports event. What would you call it? A facility?
Like a facility, yeah.
Yeah. They had it all over the city, everywhere. So here I was like, man, it'd be great because especially the winters, the winters are brutal. I was like, imagine if they had something like that, indoor, like a little indoor, it could be a football or baseball or anything like that. And then I asked Matt Fairholm about that. And then he said, hey, you should ask. He said, I remember it was like a year or two. He told me that a group of people wanted to do that. And then I asked him again, I think a few weeks ago. And he said, ask Jay. And then that's when I contacted you. And then you showed me that presentation. I was like, that's the same idea.
Yeah, that was an idea I had. And I was just spitballing it. I was looking for something to do too. I try to keep busy, whether I'm working with my hands after work or trying to work with my mind doing something. I built a house from scratch. Pretty much did all the work on it. It took me 2 years to do it. So I don't mind working hard. And I thought there was a need for that. Some type of facility. And I'm a baseball guy. I still play amateur baseball in the summer.
Really?
Yeah. My knees are killing me. I just got a shot in my shoulder from Cooter a couple of days ago. So hopefully I can make one more year out of it and do some throwing. But I wanted something that I'm passionate about and maybe have a little bit of knowledge in, and to be able to do that year round, because the winters in South Dakota, they're not very fun. You're not doing much outside. So I thought, let's bring these summer sports into the inside. And I sent you the presentation and stuff. And I was probably maybe a little naive on the process of how this all went down. I was, came back to town, took the bank manager job here really next door at Bank of the West when it was Bank of the West a few years ago. And in my spare time, I just kind of came up with the idea, and I'll come up with an idea and I'll sketch it out. Then I'll draw it again and I'll draw it again. And it'll probably take like 7-8 times or something like that before I get like a comp. I'll go look at some other pictures of places and then try and take the best parts of those and add them to like one spot, one location. So, the presentation I sent, I think it was big enough to be an infield for baseball, infield for softball, kind of a turf for the softball, baseball, and even football football practice in there, a couple mounds for pitching, batting cages to obviously take hitting in, and then just some other smaller amenities that you could do some stuff like some video stuff incorporated with it, where you could really track the mechanics of the swing, the pitching mechanics, and just all around, so you could kind of review it. I'm a visual guy. I need to see, if I can see it, I can do it. So I think that's a part of the learning process. Is this is like, if you see what's maybe not right, it's easy to do something that is right with your swing or your mechanics, or maybe how you're trying to throw the ball. So I wanted to incorporate all that together. And then it was a big project. I'd spent a lot of time on the deal. And then just out of the blue, I kind of got offered a job at another town up in Mitchell there. And it was kind of a big promotion for me personally. And a dollar amount is a pretty big promotion too. And I know that it wasn't going to be forever. When I took the position, I told them it's going to be a 2 or 3 year gig for me. And then I wanted to get back into the Vermilion area. So that kind of put the project on the side for the time being. And then I obviously moved up there, and that's when I took on building that house. It's kind of the project that replaced that project.
Okay, this is a little off topic. Do you live over there north of Walmart?
No, I'm on East Cherry Street, so I'm on the east side of town.
Okay, wrong. Okay, there's another house being built over there. I was like, I wonder if that's the same one, but no. Okay,
yeah.
So with what caught my eye, or because I thought about it also before, and I was like, man, we should have that again, because right now I'm coaching the U10 softball. At first I wasn't gonna do it, and then my kid was like, hey, you should do it, and I was like, all right, let's go. And then no, I got these girls, and now I love it. It's great. It's fun, and I take it a little more serious. Maybe it's just me. I don't yell, but I do take it more serious, and I'm showing them the mechanics and everything. But what got me thinking about it was like, hey, what if we had this? Because like you were saying, the winter, usually some of the sports kind of stop unless it's indoor, and then it takes a while for them to get back into the groove, and then you gotta teach them again. So that's why I was like, hey, what if they have something like that? And also, I was watching this. Trevor Bauer, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've watched him since when he was in the Major League, and then over when he was in Japan and he's doing all this video podcasts, and then when he's in the Mexican League. So I've watched. I think he's really incorporating that technology piece. I mean, to know what days he's supposed to be at his peak and what days he's not, and I think that's very interesting just to follow him through there. Versus his college teammate was Garrett Cole, who was a Yankee pitcher. Yeah, they're the complete opposite. Like Garrett Cole is a work hard through it. We just work, lift weights, stretch out. I mean, really the physical part. Whereas Trevor Bauer is more of the, let's get your mental and physical peaking at the same time. So they're two different approaches, but they're both very good at what they do.
If you are enjoying this and want to be a guest or sponsor, email me at vermillionunplugged@gmail.com. Have you seen some of his videos? There's a few channels where they have like this indoor facility, and then they're hitting, and then it has that like simulation stuff.
Yeah, I think that's pretty excellent. Like Eric Syme, I think, is one of the guys he does it with, and he calls himself the JUCO legend.
That's him. Yeah, that's what I've been watching.
And I'm not sure why he calls himself the JUCO legend, but yeah. So they've got great things in there, and they've got the pitch tracker where when they throw the pitch, if it hits they strike out or whatever. But it's pretty impressive. Then they get some pretty impressive people in there, some major league pitchers throwing. And then they get. I think I've even seen them try to hit off college pitchers, ladies, and they can't do it. So it's pretty impressive, like what they do in there, and then just coming in and watching the ladies kind of show up the Major League Baseball hitters. Yeah, I just recently found that channel, I'm going to say like a month ago, and it's so entertaining. And that's why, same thing, it caught my eye about that little facility. And also, I just put it on Talk of the Town thing last week, and I was asking some people, just a few people, like, hey, what if we did like a Vermilion, like a community, for example, just community softball event, anyone, participants, whatever, but at night. They had it under because they were doing the same thing, and it was under black light at night, and it's everything neon. I was like, hey, that'll be kind of fun. I just threw it out and see what people said, and they're like, yeah, they would do it. And I had other people. I was like, sweet, but how do we do it? And I remember it was one of the messages I contacted with Matt Fairholm, and he said, try asking USD. So I asked John Schumo about it. He said it was great, but he says, ask the city, ask the VCDC. So I asked them with the mayor, and we'll see what happens, but I think it'll be kind of cool. Something fun, especially for the summer. I think it'll be cool with especially kids too, like since, neon and light and dark, and I don't know, I could visualize it. It's because I've seen the videos and it looks fun. Yeah, I've seen some videos like that too before. They're out there, and I think they even have like a ball that maybe glows a little bit. Yeah. So they've got the neon, and then it's darker, but it's played at night, so everything, all of the neon lights up, and then the ball, and yeah, I think that's if you can visualize it, you can make it happen. And like I said, I'm a visual person. So once I see it, then it's like, yes, we can make this happen.
Yeah, something like that. Or if we want to take it down a notch, I don't know, maybe like a kickball event, or even someone mentioned that someone commented, they say, hey, what about also just a Vermilion, like just a glow in the dark night event, like all across town. So stuff like that, I'm like, because it's the summer, I feel like there could be more stuff happening.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard. You know, you think about it, and you're like, this is great, but how do we take it to that next step? How do we make it happen?
Yeah. How do we implement this and implement it on the scale that we can control and kind of make sure that everything's going like we envision it?
Yeah. So with that sports facility, do you think, is it still possible? Maybe not, maybe yes?
I think it is. I think it would have been great to do it 10 years ago. It would have been probably half the cost than things are currently.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I definitely think it's doable. With Vermilion, it's always been, you're going to need to partner with USD in almost something like this, because you're going to want like your anchor tenant. Like for this facility, kind of how I envisioned it would be like, you could really do a lot of softball items in there, and you could do baseball too. But with USD having a softball team and not really having, they've had to take like 30 yards of the dome in the winter months, and then the football team is trying to do some winter practice and stuff like that, or the golf team's in there. Really give them a home place to do it and partner with them for a piece of the, a piece of what it's going to take to run the place, basically.
Okay. Because I've thought about that. The only thing, well, it'll be fine too. It'll be fine. But how do we get more of like, would it be, let's say if that happened, let's say USD would do something like that, similar to the swimming pool and the wellness center. Would it still be more, would it be geared to kids still?
Yes. My envision was really keep it with like the local kids. And I mean local, not just Vermilion, but like the greater Vermilion area, I guess, if you would, 20 miles, 25 miles, all the Centervilles, the Elk Points, the Dakota Valleys, Beersfords, Alcester, those kind of things. And those would be like the primary people that I would really want to work with. And it would be my target group. I just think that financially, to make it realistic, like at some point you're going to have to either get a big backer, or the university to some degree or whatever like that. But you don't really ever want to relinquish control because, I've seen for 20, 30 years now where the city goes into a partnership with USD and it's on paper, everything looks like it's going to be hunky dory and it's going to be kind of 50-50. And then it turns out where the deal changes over the years and pretty soon it turns out to it's a USD 80, city 20, USD 90, city 10. So you kind of get put on the back burner then, but partner with them in a financial aspect where they get to use it too. Cause I think you need that financial piece. Because you can only keep going to the same donors so many times before somebody's tapped out. Yeah. So I think you maybe need that continuous funding piece, but keep the control like those that are passionate, whether it be a couple individuals, whether it be a board, and really make it for the local and the kids that are growing up on here too. And you mentioned you coach is softball.
Yeah, right now I am.
And your kid plays for it.
Yep.
So how did that ever come about?
So I played baseball before, and actually my family's really into, we're really into it. So I know all of it. I know all of it. And I had Victoria that's my kid's name, a few years ago. We put her in in every sport. She likes it or not, and she was in softball that first year. It's just for fun for kids. And I'm like, I don't know, it's a little rough. And then last year, her swing, man, I'm just telling you, that swing was just. They're still young. And then I started working with her. I'm like, hey, we got to do this, load up and all that stuff. And she started getting the hang of it. It was still coach pitch. Then this year, she moved up to now the kid pitch. And then I noticed that first practice, she was back at the bad habits. And also it was kind of strange because last year there was a bunch of teams and a bunch of coaches. And then this year there's only one team. And it's just one coach. It's Ashley. And they were looking for people. And I remember, I think my wife was telling me, hey, you should do it. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. I got other stuff to do. I'm always busy. And then, but after that practice, you know what? Let me ask. And I said, hey, are you still looking for someone? They're like, yes. I'm like, okay. So, I decided to do it. And then the next practice, she wasn't there, but I was there. And no, we got it. It was fun. I was showing them the mechanics. And I think this is what I've noticed with kids. you could tell them what to do, you could tell them how to do it, but if you show them, they're really good at copying it. So especially when I show them, like, I don't know, for example, just doing some basic fielding or just the batting, and I show them, and compared to an adult and a kid, when you hit the ball, it goes hard and like, whoa, snap. I'm like, there you go, just hit it, give me a good swing and this and that. So that's what we've been doing, and they're great. It's funny how they're still little and they're still trying to get the hang of it, but after like after me just showing a bit, they're quick. They're like sponges. They get the hang of it. The only thing it's very hard for me to teach is the pitching on softball. I don't know how to pitch at softball, but I was watching it was one of those videos with Trevor Bauer and Eric, and when they were doing against it was one of those videos again. They were going to pitch to softball people. So there's a college softball girl teaching them, and I was watching the video. I'm like, okay, there's the mechanics. So I started teaching. I only did like a few days with them, and yeah, they got it. Because at first they're throwing it, and he's going like this. I'm like, hey, start like this, the T pose or something like that, and let's work on the K. And if I show them and they'll copy me, I'm like, okay, there we go. So first game is tomorrow, maybe, depending if it rains.
Yeah. Well, good luck on that. That would be one thing that I would struggle with too. But a lot of the aspects, I think I'd probably have a pretty good that transfer between softball and baseball. But it's the pitching, because I've like just messed around and just with the footwork and the timing, and I'd have to watch a video too, because I don't think I understand like the physics of how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, it's different. It's way different. It's completely different. Like I could like for example in softball with the girls, I could teach them how to throw like overhand and just warm up, long toss, whatever. But the pitching is just. It's completely different. Like it's completely different. That's how I could describe it.
Yeah, one's coming underhand and one's coming overhand, and the ball moves differently when it comes from that different locations.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm a huge believer, because you kind of mentioned it, in the long toss. I think that's how you get your arm strength. Whether girls playing softball, guys playing baseball, is to long toss and do it so that you're not lobbing it, but do it as far as you can, but you're still keeping it on that 8, 9, 10 foot line. So you're still throwing that, what you would call, I guess, a laser or something, but instead of just throwing it up as high and as far as you can, keeping it on that, and that's going to strengthen your arm, driving that ball down and throwing that long toss and keeping it low.
Yep. So when I haven't talked about my baseball stuff in years. So you're bringing it up. But so what I did is, so my dad would teach me how to long toss, and I would do that every practice. That'll be my warm up. Of course, with control, not just throwing this. And the same thing, don't lob it up. So make those. If people want to know, you start super short, and then what I did was, you throw it, and then you take a step back. You keep going. You kind of have it like a bit of an angle, but don't you still want to hit them at the chest. And then once you, I guess, kind of can't reach, or once you're ready, then you start scooting in, and the ball just, you're warmed up, and it feels like you're throwing harder, or actually it is going faster. And same thing, line drives. I was doing that with, I did it, I think 2 times with the girls. There's a girl that's, I don't know if she'll be playing. I think she says she might not play, but she was really, really good. And we started doing that. And when we came back, she started getting the hang of it. But I think it's not a problem, because I was wondering, I was like, what happened to the girls? Where's all the teams at? And I think they said at this age, there's a Vermilion softball team called the Flames.
Yeah.
So some of those girls transition. I'm like, oh, okay. And I got to get used to, it's just a small town, because also I guess we kind of, everywhere you travel and this and that, I was looking at the schedule. I thought the games would be here, but there's not enough people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think back years ago, they used to try to do, because I remember back when I was in like 6th grade, they actually called it like American League for 10 and 11-year-olds, or however old you are at that age. And there was like, you probably have 4, 5, 6 teams made up of, and this was when girls and guys still played together in baseball. So then we'd get together over by the middle school, where they've since put the new middle school up, but there used to be a softball park there. And that's where we would play all of our games, like on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And there used to be a big turnout, like, if there's enough for 5 or 6 teams. Now I think they struggle getting enough for one solid team, or maybe a couple guys join that are maybe a little bit better, or girls that are a little bit better join a traveling team. And then they get outside the local area and play with some people from like more of maybe the South Dakota, Southeast portion here, and then really do some traveling and get up to Sioux Falls and Omaha and those kind of things.
See, when I was younger, actually, I remember this. So when my dad played, when he was a kid all the way to high school and, amateur league and all that stuff, it was just they started at the rec at the city. And then when I was younger, that's when, well, back home in Texas, those we would call it select teams. Those were popping up. So yeah, people want to know. Usually in the city rec, it's just rec. You pay and everyone participates. And with these select teams, you pay to put you pay for a team. There's tryouts, this and that, and they take the practice more serious because you're paying for your player for your kid to practice to do this. So that was pretty new. I remember my dad was very against it because why would I have to pay if we got all these people? But then, cause I'm not bragging or nothing, but I know how to play. I know what I was doing. But I guess when you're in a select team, there's more competition cause you're facing other people. And I remember my dad, cause, I think I had a few people asking me if I was going to play in a select team. And my dad, I think he refused. Like, no, you don't have to. You don't need to. But then I think one of his friends said, hey, nowadays you have to kind of, if you want to, play against better teams, nowadays you probably have to do that. So then I think my last year, whatever, I started playing against that. So here, I got to get that. It's super strange on my part because, of course, when you're a young kid, it's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to have it. But also if there's also another team that you want your kids to, have better competition. So it's super weird. I don't know if there's like a balance. Hey, whatever people want to do, it's all good with me.
Yeah. I think they do a lot now for exposure too, so that when you're playing in those tournaments, it's easy for a college coach to come and watch 6 or 10 really good teams play together on a Saturday afternoon than it is to try to hit up 6 individual towns to watch those individual players, maybe 1 or 2 people on a team that they're maybe looking to recruit or want them to come play for them. So I think that's part of the deal is like, let's get some exposure. Let's get some college things. And here's a little trivia that you probably haven't heard. I was the oldest college baseball player ever.
What?
I played college baseball at 43. How old was I then? I was like 43. So that was 9 years ago. I actually played college baseball up at Dakota State in Madison.
Whoa. How did that happen?
That's a kind of a weird story. And it turned out to be a pretty good experience. And there's actually a 10-15 minute video that Midco came up and watched us for a weekend.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah. If you YouTube it and it even plays sometimes after, like when Midco plays USD games, sometimes it'll still run after the fact. And, so I was kind of helping out as an assistant coach up there. Not being able to make the day-to-day stuff, obviously that's too far to kind of travel day to day. So I helped them out for a couple of years on weekends when we do college trips and postseason and stuff. And I remember that I'm sitting at the bank and my buddy who's the coach up there sends me a text and asks how much eligibility I have left. And I'm like, it didn't make any sense. I didn't even reply. Because originally out of high school, I went over to a NAIA school over in Iowa to play football and baseball over there. Takeo Westmar is what it was. And it was over Lamar's and it's since closed down. But so I was like, I already, technically went to school. Then I came back and went to USD for a few years. So I was like, I don't think I have any eligibility. And he said, and then that night he actually calls me up and it was like a Monday or Tuesday night. And he calls me up and goes, no, if you never lettered in a college sport, your time never started. He goes, so you would probably be a freshman up here, even though I was probably a junior level credits or whatever it was. And so I started thinking, I go, well, I can't make practices and I can't make weekday games. I'm a bank manager here in town. And he gave me the best deal any person could ever ask for to play college sports was you don't have to practice. You only show up to the games you can make. And when you show up, you'll play.
What?
Yeah. So I was like, that sounds like a pretty good offer. He goes, the only bad thing is he goes, you got to take 12 credits.
Oh,
so you can't just show up. And so he goes, but you only have 2 days to decide. And so I thought about it that night and, I had some vacation built up and the offer was pretty cool. And I just talked to a couple of people. They're like, well, that sounds pretty cool. Are you going to do it? And I was like, I want to, but I'm like, I'm also an adult with responsibilities. I'm going to be playing with 18 and 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds and stuff. So I decided that I would give it a go. And he goes, great. You got to go to this. It's an NAIA school. So you got to go to NAIA, like playnaia.com or whatever it is. And you got to apply. And then they'll call you and ask you a couple questions about your previous schooling and stuff like that. And if you ever lettered and whatnot. And then you got to get enrolled, but you got to send us your transcript from USD first. So I went over, this is a funny story. They actually talk about this at the end of Midco, the Midco story. And I go over there and I've got to go to I don't know if it's a registrar's office to get your transcript sent up to Dakota State so they can see like how many classes you got and all that kind of stuff, your credits. And I go over there and they go, well, you have a hold on your record. And I go, okay. I was like, well, what's the hold from? And she goes, it looks like you have some parking tickets back from the early 90s. And I kind of chuckled. I go, yeah, I got that probably makes a lot of sense. I probably do. So she goes, you got to go over to this other place and the accounting office or something like that where you can pay that. So I go over there and she didn't tell me how much it was or anything. And I get over to the accounting office and I was like, all right, I got a couple parking tickets from 30 years ago. I was like, how much do I need to pay? And she pulls up and she goes, it's like $1,050. I'm like, that's a lot of parking tickets. Is that even physically possible to get that many? 30 years ago, if you had a parking ticket, it was like $3. So I was like, I do not remember getting 300 or 400 parking tickets, but apparently over the course of 25, 30 years of not paying them, they must continually grow. So, and I only had a day because we had that 2-day window and this was like the first day into it. I was like, well, I've got to pay it. So I go, well, I'd like to kind of contest this. I think that's too many or whatever. But I was really time limited. So I ended up having to pay like $1,000 in parking tickets from about 30 years ago to get my transcript sent up there. And luckily though, the baseball team covered the classes I had to take. I ended up taking as easy classes as I could up there because I was taking them all online. And I took a speech class, which you can always use a little bit of fresh run speech. And I think I took a composition class because I thought that'd be easy. Like a business stats would help with banking stuff. And then I think an accounting. And so it was classes that I thought would be pretty easy and just like you'd be able to kind of just almost wing it, if you will. Mm-hmm. But the composition in the speech classes, I was completely shocked at how much actual work. Like when you do a speech, because it was online, you had to record it, and you had to record it in front of one person to start with, and then you had to get 4 people, and then you had to get 10 people, and then you had to record multiple versions and critique them yourself. And then the final was, and we actually did this one when we were playing up I think we were at Jamestown for the conference tournament that year. And I had to film it in front of like 20, 25 people. So I had the whole baseball team in a room and we almost had to kind of stage a little bit. So at the end, I was like, we had a couple questions that were planned that I knew that they were going to be coming. And then everybody kind of cheered at the end. So that was a good way to wrap up that class. I ended up putting a lot more work in those classes than I thought I'd have to.
Whoa. So you got to play college baseball. And what? My
first hit was against Northwestern, and we were down in playing in Tucson. We always go down there to start the year off, and we play like 10 games when the weather's nice in like February. And I played amateur ball, but we're done in August. So September, October, November, December, January. So for 6 months, I didn't swing a bat, didn't think about a bat, didn't even touch anything. And all of a sudden, I pack up my gear, and I think I did make it to one practice. I think we practiced maybe like one day before we actually got out of the plane and went down there. So I had one practice and then started the second game. We only had 2 catchers. There was another catcher and me. So I was if we were playing a double hitter, I was playing regardless.
Whoa.
So I ended up playing the second game. And I think it was my second game playing down there against Northwestern. Ended up getting a hit after I got drilled by about a 90-mile-per-hour fastball right in the shoulder, the first at bat. And then I got a fister or something over the shortstop for my first hit. And of course I got some shouts from the dugout, like, you want us to get the ball and collect the ball? You want to sign it and stuff? But I'm like, no, I'm okay.
What did everyone else think when
it was pretty good? So, who was it? The sports writer over at the Yankton paper. Cause one of the first games I was able to make on a Wednesday, cause usually they play like a Wednesday game, then they have a weekend series. I was able to go play Mount Marty. So, and I knew Coach Bernardo from Mount Marty and stuff, but I didn't want to tell anybody because I didn't want my boss at the bank, who was out of Redfield, to get mad because I didn't really ask anybody. I wasn't taking time off of work or anything, but I know how that could be. Like, you're going to put a lot of time into this. Like, we need you're here to do a job as well. And that's exactly what happened, like, after the season was over. But so I didn't tell anybody. And I go over there and Jeremy Hoke from the paper texts me on the way over and he's like, "Hey Jay, I heard you're playing ball. Is that true?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Are you coming tonight?" I go, "Yeah, I'll be there like in 15 minutes. He goes, "Can I talk to you for like 15 minutes before the game?" And so I was sure. So I talked with them and everything was pretty good. And that was the first interview of what would probably be many. And then of course the Yankton paper posted it, and then the Plain Talk picked it up the next week, and it was like front page of the sports area in Vermilion. So then the secret was out of the bag. A few weeks into the season, it was out, and then I just tried to kind of downplay it from there. But it was a pretty entertaining entertaining year. I'm glad I did it.
Did you ever think that, well, after that, do you think your chances of going to MLB or the minor league would?
No. You know, I knew I was old, and I was fortunate to be able to compete, and which hold my own at that time. You know, this league had had Bellevue, who was the number one team in the country. We went down and played Bellevue, and I don't think we won a game, but the 2 games I caught, we should have won. We made a couple errors late in the game. And I think it's just bringing, you know, I was bringing 23 years of catching experience already. So I could call a game without pitchers that had to throw it by you. And we had guys who could throw mid 80s and locate a little bit. But it was more about like, what is this pitcher good at, and how can we maximize him against the number one team in the country? And, you know, one game, the wind was blowing out. We ended up dropping a ball. We had like 6-4. We dropped a ball, got a couple guys on. Guy hits a double for 3 runs. I think we ended up losing by 1 run in a game we should have beat them. And that was the first game we played, second game, my first game against Bellevue. And that's when I realized, like, this team is pretty good. You know, I think we finished 3rd in the conference that year after a couple of years of maybe being last. So I think it was also a good group of kids, and then just a little bit of experience. And I think in the games I caught, I think we were like 6-3 or 7-3 or something. The first 10 games, I didn't hit a lick. I came out of the gate. I think I was like 1 for 21 with 10 or 11 Ks. So I never felt like I was overmatched or overwhelmed, and I was just missing the balls. Just timing was off. I hadn't swung a bat in 6 months, and all of a sudden you come out and you got guys throwing, you know, in that Bellevue game, there was probably 3 guys that were throwing 90. So it was a little different competition than obviously seeing none for 6 or 7 months leading up to that. But it was just a competitive group of guys, and a lot of guys I still play summer ball against and still friends with, text occasionally and stuff. So it was just a good experience all around. And personally, one of the better moments I had was, so I was able to make the Briarcliff game 2 in the middle of the week, which is just over in Sioux City. And I'm catching the second game, and early in the game, I can't remember the score, but they had a guy in first base, and I figured he's probably going to steal. He's one of the guys at the top of the lineup, and our pitcher made a bad pitch down and away, and I had to scoop it with my backhand as I'm going to my knees. Well, he was stealing at the same time. So from my knees, I've always been able to throw from my knees pretty good, but I just did a nice little flick throw. It happened to be perfect on the money. Got him there. The guy slid into the tag. So we threw him out from my knees. Their dugout, the team that just got thrown out, erupted, because they had heard the rumors about the old guy catching at this point, and they thought it was probably, you thought somebody hit a walk-off home run, but they gave that guy so much grief after that because he got thrown out by a 43-year-old who threw from his knees. Experience.
That sounds super familiar. So right after high school, I was playing at same thing, just like a little Sunday thing. And no. I was still in high school. No, I was 16. And they had, the adults would play like on a Sunday, and I got invited. And me being ignorant, I was like, "Oh, these old people, they can't do anything." And I would steal bases because I was fast back then. And I ran. Yeah, I was on first, and I went to second. And then the guy, I forgot his name, but I know they're like family friends. He threw me out, and he threw me out from his knees, and he was like, I think in his late 30s. And every time I see him, he just gives me crap about that. I think right now, he's in his 40s or late 40s, but he said, "Hey, you remember when I threw you out from my knees?" I'm like, yeah, dude, I remember that. So yeah, the age doesn't matter on that stuff.
No. If you keep yourself in good shape and you got good knees and good arms, you can still play and you can hit. And it's like the relationships and stuff that I brought forward with that. And I had known a couple of the guys from just them playing high school ball that I kind of watched, or playing against them in the summer ball in the state tournament up in Mitchell, usually in amateurs. So I was friends with, and I played against like 3 of their dads. That was the funny thing is I would go there and their dads would be in the stands watching. And if I wasn't playing the first game, I'd go talk to their dads, and we'd talk about when we played against each other 20 years ago.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Have you always been a catcher?
No, it was actually, I was an infielder, shortstop, second base, third base, up until my senior year here in town. And we only had like 11 or 12 guys go out, and we didn't have any catchers. Mm-hmm. So my senior year, I'm like, well, you're in the action. You get to do a lot of things. You get to call the game. And so I started catching my senior year, and I guess I was maybe a little bit of a natural at it or something, because I ended up sticking there. And over the years, I've always tried to get away from it because I knew that it would probably be hard on my knees and stuff. But when you're good at something and nobody else wants to do it, guess what? You're doing it.
Mm.
So I've almost always been a catcher, and just recently, the last couple of years, getting some good young guys playing with, I was able to move to first base and a little bit of infield back again. But yeah, I guess I've kind of, whether I call it being stuck at catching or just being okay at it, I guess I've been a catcher most of the time.
Yeah, that's the position I played too. I would play. It was mostly I would play catcher and then outfield. Outfield is fun. Well, it's fun when you're older. You know, as a kid, no one wants to play in the outfield, but once you're in that, it's so fun because you get to gun people out. It's fun. I love that. And then I played when I was playing. You know, just the city rec. I would be a catcher, and then when I was playing in high school, so I was playing the outfield. I would do center. It was fun. And then it was my sophomore year. Our catcher, did he break his arm or was he sick? No, I think he was sick. Yeah, he was one of those. He was sick or he broke his arm that day. And then they said, hey, well, no one, he would always catch. And they said, who else could catch? And well, no one could catch. And they said, well, they're like, hey, Jose could catch. I'm like, yeah, I caught when we were like younger. I don't catch in high school because the fields are bigger. And they're like, you could do it. I'm like, I'll give it a shot. I mean, I'd done it before. And we were playing. It was because it was the first. It wasn't preseason. It was like I think it was the first game of the season, and we were playing. I believe it was our rival. It was our rival team, Richland, if I remember right. So we were on their field. So we were away, and then game started, and then I was catching. And I was like, you know, when pitcher's warming up, you know, they warm up, and then I'm all right, throw a second, I throw it, and yeah, of course, my ball goes all the way to the center field. I'm like, all right, this is great. I got everyone watching me. This is gonna be fantastic. So I don't know what happens, but there's a guy at first. I don't know if he got walked or they just hit it. And of course, I think that happened because it's their fastest guy. And I'm like, oh, great, this is gonna be great. This is fantastic, dude. So. And I believe, if I remember right, I don't know if was it him pitching? We had a pitcher that he pitched really good, but he was so slow at his windup at the stretch. I don't know what it was, but he has someone on. It literally takes like 3 seconds. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic too. So he goes from the stretch. The guy, like, you know, he steals. I get the ball, I throw it, I gun him out at second. I'm like, okay, I got it. And then I think the next inning, they go again. It's a different person, and I gun him out at second again. I'm like, okay, I think I got it. And then there's a person at second, and then he goes to third. I gun him out. I'm like, okay, I think
this is easy.
Yeah, this is fun. I get it. And then it's a fun game. We're having fun. I'm getting hits. Everything's great. And then this is where I learned about keeping my helmet on. So there was a guy on first and third. And I remember the second baseman. It was Louis Carujo. I remember that because I won't forget. Yeah, and there was 2 outs. And they, for some reason, they steal. He steals first to second. And then I throw it. I throw it to second. And for some reason, Louis cuts it off because he sees the runner at third going home. But I was gonna get him out. It would have been like my fifth throw out, and he throws it. I had my helmet off, and then he throws it a little bad. I think he throws it to the ground or something, and then the guy slides, and I kind of slid. I get him out, but when he slid head first, and he cleated me on right here on my nose or my cheek, and I had a big old cut. And I was, bleeding the whole game, but it was fun. Then I got a hit in this and that. It was fun. It was great. I still got that little scar, but it's gone. But it was so fun. And after that, the whole season I started catching. And there was also one time where we did, because we would not play around, but we would like to do like different things. Like me and, because I had, when you're a catcher, you got this like connection with the pitcher sometimes. It's cool. It's fun.
Oh yeah. There's a pitcher-catcher connection for sure.
It's great. You're calling it. If you don't agree, you kind of know what they want. But then his name was Skyler. He was a lefty, and we were away. Wow, we were playing at Trinity. Anyways, there was a guy on first, and I remember his name. Demos was at first. He was our first baseman, lefty too. And I told we never done it, but I said, hey, I'm gonna pick him off. I'm gonna throw it at first because I've never done it. and he's leading off by a lot. So he throws it. I tell the pitcher to throw it just a little, out here, outside. He throws it, boom, I throw it to first, and I get him out. And I'm like, snap, this is fun. So yeah, the catching was fun. And then the one last thing I would do. So for some reason, I don't know what it was at our school, but the catchers we had on every level were like, they hit bombs, but they were slow, like very, very slow. And what sometimes they'll do, to get us going is, when someone hits the ball, they'll tell the catchers, hey, run all the way to first, like a backup. Well, for me, I would do that and I would outrun the batter.
The runner.
Yeah, because I was usually a faster guy, but catching was fun back then. It was really fun.
Yeah. There was a lot of years of my career when I was younger and maybe a little later that I let off for a lot of probably the first 10, 15 years of my career.
Sweet.
Yeah. A good story about the pitcher catcher connection. I'm playing with Larchwood, and we've got a college pitcher. He's actually the pitching coach, I think, over at Briarcliff or Doane these days. And I'm catching, and we're in Freeman playing. And I know a lot of the Freeman guys, and we're beating them pretty bad. I think it's probably like 10-0. I'm about to 10 run them or something. And my buddy comes up who hits left-handed, and he goes, come on, Thaler, throw it to where I like it. And I knew that he liked fastballs up and away because he was a middle linebacker at Augie. And I know that if he got his hands extended in that outside fastball, he would go the opposite way and hit it a mile. And so I call an outside up fastball, and Pat, pitcher's name was Pat. He pays the corner on that. And he throws about 87, 88. And Brett hits this ball about 500 feet the opposite way. And I'm talking with the pitcher in between innings and sitting there and just normal conversation. He goes, Jesus, he hit that like he knew it was coming. And I thought to myself, I'm like, do I tell him that I actually told him that it was coming? And I did tell him, I go, well, that's Pat, because he did know that was coming. I go, that was his wheelhouse. And we were about to 10 run him anyway. So I gave him a pitch and he hit it. And he just shook his head. And we're still friends to this day. So I guess it must not have made him too upset. But it was just a good story. And just him putting the ball where we wanted it, but the batter knowing it was coming and just getting to the spot.
See, like this past year, I'm gonna guess this year, right? Or ever since I put Victoria in softball, I guess thanks to Vermillion, I've been back at it because it's been years since I haven't touched a ball. Like just years. Even this year, even this year, just swinging the bat, especially when I just give them some grounders or just showing them how to hit on the cage. It's been years since I've swung, especially after that practice. I was like, oh man, I feel it everywhere. I haven't done that in a while.
Have you seen like the new torpedo bats that are out?
Yeah.
So I got one. I haven't swung it yet.
Yeah.
It came in the mail. It took like 2 or 3 weeks to get here, of course, because they were back ordered or whatever. But I ended up getting one. And our first practice is this Sunday afternoon. So I'll probably swing it. Even though I don't want to swing it too much, I don't want to break it before we get to like a real game because it's just a practice. But I did buy one, and just swinging it, it feels good. It just feels like the center of gravity is maybe a little closer to your hands, which I think is the whole point. Instead of getting hit on the trademark and closer to the hands, it'll hit the barrel then.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how that works. But I see a lot of major league players are starting to kind of pick it up. The Yankees kind of took it and ran with it with 4 or 5 of their players using them right away.
It was like Stanton, right? He was one using it.
Yeah, he used it last year in the playoffs when he hit like those 4 or 5 home runs in the playoff run. So he did a good job. Now Volpe's doing it, and Bellinger, and I think a couple of the other guys are too. So I'm interested to get that bat out there and just to see the difference, and when you make contact, if it does anything different.
So you're still playing right now?
Still playing, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. Knees hurt. Last year I'd catch a game and it seems like we always played on those hot Sundays or something. So I'd catch a game and just be exhausted afterwards. And if I had to do laundry the Monday or Tuesday after we played, there was a time where I actually had to carry the laundry basket down the stairs backwards because I couldn't go down the stairs forward. They hurt so bad.
Really?
Yeah. So it's catching up. Excuse me. It's catching up with me. And this will probably be my last year if I can manage to make it through this year without getting hurt too bad.
Man, I know the importance of stretching, especially with the girls, what we did. So, I go to the gym, I lift weights, and I run. So that's normal. But I haven't sprinted in a while, years. Same thing. I haven't sprinted, so I was like, "Hey, let's do something that we used to do when we were younger." We're like, "Hey, let's break up to like 2 teams, get some girls at first, and some at home, and we'll do like a relay race like that." And then, of course, I was also running with them too. And then, I was sprinting and going, hard as I can, and I felt great. And the next day, I felt it all over my inner thighs and my groin. It was like that. I was like, oh man, am I fine? And yeah, I got to stretch more.
Yeah. My girlfriend, we play pickleball together, and this year we were playing, and I'm a competitor. If we're going to play something, like, I'm there to win.
True.
I'm not there just to hit the ball back and forth and have a good time, which she probably more is. So we're playing intramurals at USD this year. And there was this ball, and I went to, I don't know if it's a backhand. I tried to step across my body and flick it. Whatever it happens, it felt like my humerus bone was coming out of my groin area too. And I think it ended up being a sports hernia because it still hurts, and it's been like 3 months. And, but yeah, so I get it. She's a big stretcher. I'm not a stretcher. I'm probably one of the most inflexible people that are around town. But I think if I stretch out a little bit more, maybe those kind of things wouldn't probably happen as often as they do.
All right. Man, see, this episode was supposed to be, I was supposed to talk about you and the bank and city council stuff, but we went all the way to baseball, which is fine with me. That's what always happens on these episodes.
Yeah, it's good. Just take it where the conversation kind of goes. But yeah, if you have any city council stuff or banking questions about me or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I won't go into like the city not the politics stuff, but like I guess the city government things. I know most people are like, nah, I don't feel that. It's a little boring, but I do want to ask, why did you want to do the city council?
So I've always been a person who speaks my mind for better or worse. And actually the mayor called me up this year and he's like, hey, we have kind of an opening in your area over there. Would you be interested in it? And I'd kind of thrown the idea out there a little bit. And what kind of convinced me to probably run more than anything was, if I don't think something's right, I've complained. I've gone down to John Prescott, the city manager, and I've said, if I didn't think it was right, and I've gone to Jim Goblish at the sports department or the Parks and Rec department if I didn't think the baseball field is right. So I'm like, if I'm willing to be the guy who is going to complain about stuff, then I need to put my foot out there and be the guy to help fix some of these things as well. So put my money where my mouth is, I guess. Okay. And and then one thing just led to another. End up walking the neighborhood. I'm in the Northeast Ward over there, which goes from kind of by Plum Street to north of Cherry Street, and then pretty much all the way to the east side of town down to Clark Street. So a few apartment buildings and stuff, but we just my girlfriend and I, we just start after work. We just go out and we just walk and talk to people, pound on every door. Hey, I'm Jay. I'm, basically a lifelong resident here, graduated high school here, thinking about running for city council. You have any questions? And then we did that right before the election again, and got some signs, put up some signs and stuff. But there were some miles involved and some hours involved in it, but it wasn't. It's just city council in Vermilion, so it wasn't like it was a huge election. And in the Northeast Ward, our turnout is probably not that great anyway. So I just got to get like the people that I really know to get out and vote, and then just see where it goes. And we were at a watch party, I think. Rep Cass and you've had on here. I think we were maybe at his watch party or something. And then finally somebody texted me or something that the results were in and I had won. And so I wasn't following him closely. And those city awards, I don't know if you can really follow them closely. They kind of just tell you where you're at the end. And if you won, you won. If you didn't, you didn't. And so it's been a good learning curve on that. I thought I knew a lot about how governments are run. But I probably only knew about 50% of it really.
Okay.
Just the ins and outs and how things are ran, and or a home charter, which means we can kind of do whatever the state tells us. We can do whatever we want as long as the state doesn't tell us we can or can't. So we can kind of make up our own rules as long as they don't interfere with the state rules. So within those guidelines, pretty much do whatever we want to. But the city staff does a great job. John Prescott is one of the best city managers for our type of government in the state. From what I understand, he's the guy. He's the go-to guy. Like if you call him. If you have a problem from another town and you want to know how maybe John handled it, you call John, and he's pretty good about getting you the right answer and knowing everything about everything that he does. And then the department heads are good too. Most of them have been here a long time. Jim Goblish been here 15, 20, 25 years. I guess I don't even know how long Jim's been here, but I know it's a long time. And then just the other department heads, they all know what they're doing. So honestly, most of the 90% of the decisions before they even get to us are done, and we don't even really know about them. Like they're bringing us the final version of what their recommendation is when it comes to something, but we're not really. We're just basically putting the rubber stamp on it at that point because they've done the diligence, they've done the behind the scenes work, they know what they're doing.
Okay,
they've got a budget. They stay within their budget. If they go over budget, they'll come to us and tell us why. And luckily we're in a position where maybe we have a little bit to work with outside of our normal constraints. So we're able to meet those budget requirements if something breaks that it's not supposed to break, or just whatever the reason might be. But for the most part, the decisions are done by the time we get there. And if there is a couple questions, like very seldom have I ever seen a vote not go 9-0, because we'll talk about them at the Monday meeting. We have a Monday meeting at noon before the Monday night meeting that's televised and stuff. And if there's any questions or concerns, those are usually addressed at that point. So when it comes time to voting, that's why you see so many 9-0s, and you're probably like, this isn't very exciting. This isn't much talked about. Well, all that stuff was probably talked about and discussed at the noon meeting, if there was anything to talk about, and very few things that really, it's a non-political position.
Yeah. So
you're not like you don't have to declare your party or anything like that when you're running. And politics really doesn't come into it at that play. With each political party you belong to, you probably have you lean a little way, one way or the other, left or right or whatever it is. And that might come into your decision-making ability, but everybody there is there to do what's best in the city. Maybe a preference might be, is it best for the city right now, or is it best for the city in the long term? So maybe you might have some disagreements on how you might get to where you want to get, but everybody's on the same page.
Okay, that's good. Everyone, just different perspectives, but everyone wants what's best for the city. Everyone wants to grow. Everyone wants everyone to be happy.
Yep. Yeah. And, I think even the appointments, they've been, the mayor usually appoints some of these committees and stuff like that. And I think that has been maybe a little bit of a point of contest in the past, but we really don't have a lot of people that apply, because we see everybody's resume when they apply to, they get sent out to us, and then the mayor picks, and he tells us who he wants to pick. And then we have a conversation about it. But for the most part, a lot of those, there's not even enough people to apply for those positions that get them. So, and maybe there were more in the past, I guess, before my time. And I'm only speaking, from 8-9 months of experience. So this may not be what's true 2, 5, 10 years ago or whatever, but for the most part, we're just looking for good-bodied people who want to be able to show up and have their opinion on some of these committees. Okay,
that's sweet. I'm just gonna throw this out. So I don't know if you guys ever discussed about it, but with the pool pass, have you guys ever talked about like a family bundle or something like that? I know people have been asking.
I'm surprised that there's not, for like the Prentice Park over there.
Yep.
I'm surprised there's not like a family bundle pass on that.
That would help a lot.
Yeah, and I will definitely bring it up with Jim next time I see Jim. I'll talk to him about it and see, maybe there is an option that we just don't know about. Maybe that they just don't have out there or something like that, or to be able to make it feasible.
Yeah.
What we try to do is, I'm on the golf advisory board. We want to make the facilities at least break even. That's kind of the end goal. So you're not having to use taxpayer money to fund them, but you're also trying to find that balance of like, what can we charge for cart rentals? What can we charge for 18 holes of golf where it's affordable and everybody can do it, but also trying to get to a break even point. And probably the same thing with the pool. There's probably a lot more costs associated with the pool than than just the generic construction of it, which everybody, whatever it costs, $1 million, $2 million to build or something. But then you have all the chemicals and maintenance and workers and all that kind of stuff. So, it's always tough to find that balance of what can we charge to make it so that we can probably break even, and then but yet still make it affordable for just the average families in Vermilion.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think people forget about that, about how expensive maintenance is.
Yeah.
It can be a lot.
Well, and with pools, I know that when they've just finished the brand new pool over at, the USD we talked about earlier, and they've already had like 3 or 4 breakdowns on that. Like
Really?
They've had to drain the hot tub, and some of the blowers weren't working. So, and that's brand new equipment. So you can imagine equipment that's 5 years, 10 years old. It's just, it just costs to maintain it. It costs to have the people that know how to fix it come down and fix it.
Oh man, okay, you're right. I didn't even think about that. But we hit that hour mark, and because I gotta shorten it because I also gotta go back to work on my lunch break. But I do want to ask, do you have any last words or anything? Any shout outs, any events or something coming up?
I do have one shout I'd like to give. Last night, the Dakota Foundation Hospital did the kind of annual awards where they hand out some scholarships and stuff like that. And this year's recipient of like their medical person of the year, somebody who's in like the medical field or of Vermilion. And I'm not even sure the exact title of it. I think I had somebody text it to me, but I can't remember anyway. Anyway, it was given to Matt Lavin at Davis Pharmacy. Do you know Matt? Great guy, super humble. His family's been in the pharmacy business for probably 4 generations now, Davis Pharmacy. And Matt was one of the 5 siblings who are all super successful and doctors and everything in their own rights. But he was able to come back and run Davis Pharmacy now. And Matt he's just a great dude. He'll do anything for anybody. If you need something, you got a prescription that's after hours, but you need it now, he'll do it. So I just want to give a shout out to Matt for all the things that he's done for just everybody in Vermilion. You don't even have to know him. You get his number from somebody, you call him up, and he'll go open the store to get you what you need.
Cool. All right. I think that's where we can end it, but I do want to thank you so much, Jay.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.